Good morning, my dear friends. Today we will study Science Class 6, Chapter 5, Measurement of Length and Motion. So here there is one story given where Deepa goes to a tailor with her mother, and her mother asks her to the tailor to give a 2 meter cloth piece. The shopkeeper measures the cloth using a metal measuring rod. What does shopkeeper use? Metal measuring rod. Then the tailor takes her measurement using a flexible measuring tape. Flexible measuring tape the tailor uses to take her measurement. Her mother instructs the tailor to increase the length of her uniform by 4 angul, four fingers width. So are the tape and rod similar to the scale? As we can see here, the tailor has used the metal measuring rod. Okay, and the tailor has used metal measuring rod, and he has taken the measurement of Deepa using a flexible measuring tape. So these are two different equipments. So the question is, are the tape and rod similar to the scale? And the eldest sister has in her geometry box. So this is the scale which is found in her geometry box. And what did mother mean by 4 angul? See, mother says कि 4 angul से उसका length जो है वो increase करने के लिए. So Deepa shares her experience with her school friends, and this leads to a discussion. So these are Deepa and her school friends. So they discuss. So first point they discuss is, how do we measure? So Hardeep says something. He says that I have seen my grandmother measuring cloth by the length of her arm. She measures cloth by the length of her arm. Have you ever seen how a farmer measures length to divide his field into beds? He walks and counts the number of his strides. So farmer counts the number of the strides he makes. Oh no, just the length of the strides. Sometimes they also use the length of their feet to measure the distance. Deepa says excitedly, measuring length using body parts must be so much fun. Let us also measure something using a body part. So what should we measure? So okay, so they have a table in their classroom. So which body part they will use to measure? Is it feet or strides or arms or hand span? So Deepa says, let us use a hand span. So here you can see that this is the hand span. I will show you how to use it. I have seen my mother using it, and she calls it balish. So Hardeep adds, okay, let us note down our measurements. So they in a table they note down their measurements. Like here they write their names and their measurements using hand span. So we see that the handspans of each child is different. Anish has got slightly more than 13, Padma has got only 13, Tasneem has got slightly less than 13, Reepa is between 13 and 14, and Hardeep is 14. So why should that happen, children? Can you answer? So the handstands are of different sizes. Everybody has a different size of the hand, and hence the handspan. So all five of them put their handspans along each other and arrive at the conclusion that the lengths of their handspans are different. Deepa says thoughtfully, no wonder people use scales and measuring tapes. That is why people use scales and measuring tapes, because by using measurement using body parts can be different for different people. So Deepa and her friends compare the length of the table with the length of their handspans. The length of the table is expressed in terms of their handspans, and the handspan used for measurement is an example of unit. So we see that if we see up, it is slightly more than 13. 13 what? 13 handspans. So handspan is called the unit, and 13 is the number. So handspan and other similar units such as length of hand, foot, fist or fingers differ from person to person. So here we can see here India has rich history of measurement using dating systems dating back. Here we can see here India has rich history of measurement using systems dating back to ancient time. Angul, that is finger width, multiples of angul, dhanusa and yojan are some of the units measured in ancient literature and used in measuring artifacts, architecture and town planning. The angul is still used by traditional craft people like carpenters and tailors. Several objects with rule marking which could be scales, have been excavated from sites of Harappan civilization. So we conclude that measuring with body parts could be different for different people. So we have to evolve, we have to come out with some unit which is a standard which is followed all across the world. So this led to different countries coming together and adopt standard units of measurement. The system of units now used is known as International System of Units. So this is known as SI, that is International System of Units. So the SI unit of length is meter. Its symbol is M. So you can see here in figure 5.2, this is a meter scale which is shown, which is divided into 100 equal divisions. So each division is called a centimeter. You may be familiar with smaller part of meter scale which is 15 centimeter long. As you can see from figure 5.3, this is 15 centimeter long scale which you have in your geometry box also. If we look carefully on 15 centimeter scale, we can see that from 0 to 15 the markings are there, and length of any section between two consecutive big markings such as 1 and 2 or between 5 and 6 is 1 centimeter. So 1 and 2 is 1 centimeter, 5 and 6 is 1 centimeter, 10 and 11 is 1 centimeter. And these 1 centimeters are further divided into 10 equal parts. So between 1 and 2 there are 10 equal parts. So the length of one of these smaller parts is called millimeter. So between 1 and 2 the markings are divided into millimeters. 1 millimeter is smallest value of length that you can measure using this scale. So using this scale, the smallest value that can be measured is 1 millimeter. So 1 millimeter is equal to 1/10 of a centimeter. Okay. For measuring lengths, we can also use a larger unit that is called a kilometer, which is kilo means K means 1000. So wherever K is written, we can straight away say it is 1000. If it is kilogram, it is 1000 gram. If it is kilometer, it is 1000 meter. And for using smaller lengths, we use units such as centimeter or millimeter. Okay. So here there is a question: would it be convenient to use the unit meter to measure larger lengths, such as length of a railway track between two cities, or to measure smaller lengths such as thickness of a page of a book? So what will we use to measure thickness of a page of a book? We will use a millimeter. And when we are measuring length, larger lengths like railway track and two cities, we will be using kilometer, because otherwise it will be too many meters, or it will be smaller unit. So here we can see 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meter, 1 meter equal to 100 centimeter, and 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. In some scales you have noticed another scale marking. So there is one more down. If you see, there is one more scale marking. This is called as inch. This marking is called inch. So this scale, so if we see that from here, if you see 6 to 5, between 6 to 5, this is 1 inch. Okay, and so 1 inch is equal to, from here if you compare, it is equal to 2.4 centimeter. Correct? It is around 2.4 centimeter. So these units are still used by some. Now the friends are talking, suppose we all measure the length of the table again, but this time using a meter scale, will our results be different? No, but we should first learn the correct way of using a scale to measure length. So if they use the meter scale, only if they use it correctly, the scale, then only the results will be same, otherwise it will be different. Correct way of measuring length. For measuring any length, we need an appropriate scale. For example, if you want to measure the length of your pencil, you may use a 15 centimeter scale. Similarly, if the height of a room is to be measured, you may need a meter scale. Correct? For pencil, you need a small 15 centimeter scale which is there in your geometry. For measuring the height of a room, you may need a meter scale or a measuring tape. You cannot directly measure the girth of a tree or the size of your chest using a meter scale, because meter scale is a straight scale. So if you have to measure the size of your chest or girth of a tree, for such things you need a flexible scale. Okay, so flexible measuring tapes are used, which a tailor also has. While measuring lengths, we need to take care of some points. So what are the points that we need to take care while we are measuring length? The correct way of placing the scale we should be aware. So this is, in this picture you can see that this is correct and this is incorrect, where the scale and the paper on which the measurement is being taken are not in line with each other. So what is the correct position of the eye while reading the scale? For example, if you are trying to measure the length of a pencil by aligning it with a scale, the position of your eye should be directly above the tip. So here your eye should be directly above the tip. If your eye is here, you may measure it, and if your eye is here, you may measure it less. So the eye should be directly on the tip of the pencil to measure the length correctly. Okay. So how to measure the length if the ends of the scale are broken? For example, if you see in the figure 5.6, this scale is broken. So what happens if the scale is broken? The zero marking is not clear, correct? So if we see from 1 to 0, 0 is not clear, the part is broken. So we start the measurement using from point 1. So once from we start the measurement from 1.0 centimeter, and then you must subtract the reading. For example, from 1 to 10.4. So therefore the length of the object is 10.4 minus 1. Okay, so that will be 9.4. So how do visually challenged students, blind students measure length? So they use scale with the raised marking, like in Braille Lipi. How they read? They use it using Braille Lipi, which is raised writing on which they can feel and find out what letters are written. Similarly, on a scale, there are scales which have raised marking to feel and find out what is the measurement now. So let us measure some objects around you such as comb, pen, pencil and an eraser and measure their length. So measure their length one by one using meter scale and note down the measurement. So you can write the name of the object here. For example, if you measure, what is the easiest thing you have? You have, for example, sharpener. So write here sharpener. The length, if you measure its length, it may be how much? It may be 5. For example, it is 2.5 centimeter. You will write the unit also. Next is what? You have a eraser. Eraser is how much? For example, if it is 1.5 centimeter. Then what you have? You have pencil. What is the length of the pencil? If you measure, for example, we take it as 11.5 centimeter. And then what you have? You have a pen also. So pen, what is the measurement? It is 13 centimeter. Okay. So while writing the length, do not forget to write the unit also. So when from here we can see that apart from writing length, we have mentioned the units also, because if you don't mention the unit, then there is no specific thing. Like if you say my height is 144, then 144 what? 144 kilometer, meter, centimeter. So the unit is essential if you are specifying some lengths. So unit of length such as kilometer, meter, centimeter and millimeter begins with a lowercase letter except at the beginning of a sentence. The symbols are kilometer, meter, centimeter. We can see here that it starts with a lowercase, not a uppercase, and millimeter also. You see that M is smaller, lowercase and not a plural, and then you don't use S for plural. For example, if it is 5 kilometers, you don't use a S, you just say 5 kilometer. And full stop is not written after the symbol. There is no full stop which is written after the symbol except at the end of a sentence. If the sentence is ending with kilometer, meter, centimeter, millimeter, then only you put a full stop, otherwise you don't put a full stop. So while writing length, always leave a space between the number and the unit. For example, from here you can see 2.5, then you give a space and then you write centimeter. So next is measuring the length of a curved line. So if the line is curved, scale is a straight scale. So if you have a curved line, then how do you measure? You will have to take a flexible measuring tape or using a thread. So if you take a thread and measure length of a curved line, you can do so as shown in figure 5.8. So now in figure 5.7 they have used string lights. From here you can see they have used string lights which are straight also and curved also. So next is describing position. We see that position in this figure, if we see that location of bus stand, school, garden and houses of Deepa and her friends. So this is the location of, and this point is bus stand, then it is school, Deepa's house, Anish house, Hardeep's house, Aunt Tasneem's house, Padma's house and garden. Okay. So we measure distance from a reference point. For example, if we see the school as a reference point, then bus stand is nearby to the school, whereas Padma's house is more far than the bus stand. Similarly, Hardeep's house is farther than Deepa's house from the school. But if we take garden, Padma's house is near to the garden, whereas Deepa's house is farther to the garden. So we see that location of the places differs or differs with respect to a reference point. Okay. Similarly, if we are making kabaddi, here they are making a kabaddi court. So what do? They make a reference point as this point, and then from here they start drawing the court. Then when we are traveling from one place to another, we see a kilometer stone. So kilometer stone on which some kilometers are mentioned. For example, here Padma was traveling by bus to visit her grandparents in Delhi, and she was eager to reach Delhi and was reading the kilometer stones on the side of the road. So 1 kilometer stone said 70 kilometer, and then later after 10 kilometers the next stone said Delhi is 60 kilometer. So each stone indicated that she is getting closer to the reference point. Okay. So we understand that position of Padma changes with respect to the reference point with time. So as the bus moves towards Delhi, the position of Padma changes with respect to the reference point, that is Delhi here. Okay. So let us see, why are we studying reference point? Because after understanding reference point only, we will understand what is motion or moving things. So this is an activity where we have to look around and prepare a list of 5 objects that are in motion and 5 objects that are at rest. So what do you see in motion? In motion we have cow grazing, okay, and objects at rest is tree. Okay. Why cow grazing in the field is motion? Because she is moving around in the field. And why object at rest, tree is at rest? Because from your point of view it is not moving. So you are the reference point who is seeing the thing. So you have to make a list of things which are moving and which are at rest. If you see here, fan is moving in the class, hands of clock are moving, fruit falling from a tree is moving, okay, and some ships or buses are moving, and objects at rest are tree, bench, okay, wall, then table, all these things are at rest. So when an object is said to be in motion, an object is said to be in motion if its position changes with reference to the reference point with time. If an object is not changing its position with respect to the reference point with time, it is said to be at rest. So with respect to the reference point, if the position of the object does not change with time, then it is said to be at rest. So Deepa was traveling in bus to go to Delhi. So she looks around the passengers who were seated, and then she thinks, if the passengers are moving, then what is the point that she has to make sure that she is considering the things with respect to the reference point. In this example, if the windows are also closed, then she will feel that nobody is moving because she is also steady. But then if she opens the windows and sees from outside, then she sees that passengers along with bus are moving. So it depends on the reference point from where you are looking to determine the motion of an object. Okay. So next is, we have understood what is motion, when an object is said to be in motion. Now we will study what are the types of motion. So if we take an eraser and drop it from a certain height, it will travel from the height to the ground. So we observe its motion. So does it move along a straight line? When an orange drops from a tree or apple drops from a tree, does it move in a straight line? Have you seen a Republic Day parade? How the soldiers are marching? They are also moving in a straight path. So when the objects move in a straight line, its motion is called linear motion. So when an object moves along a straight line, so when we are pushing this box, it also moves in a straight line. The eraser drops from our hands in a straight line. The orange falls from the tree in straight line. Soldiers march on the road in a straight path. So, but do all the things always move in a straight line? No. You must have gone on in parks, on swings and merry-go-rounds. So these are not the linear motions. So is at one end of the thread and hold the other end, and with your hand and whirl it. So if you whirl a potato like this is not a linear motion. What is it called? This is a circular motion, because the potato is moving in a circular path. You see, this is a circular path on which potato is moving. So when object moves along a circular path, the motion is termed as circular motion. Okay, so this is a merry-go-round. This is also a circular motion in which the merry-go-round will go around. So we do another activity where we tie an eraser or potato at one end of the thread. Hang the eraser by holding the other end of the thread and keep your hand steady. So if you keep your hand steady, the potato or eraser will keep on moving from here to here, and then from here to here. Okay, so this is called a oscillatory motion. So if you see the swing also, this boy keeps on moving from here to here and then here to here. So this is called as oscillatory motion. So there is one more activity where a thin metal strip is placed and it is pressed on a table, and then when you click on cut on this end, then the motion moves from, the scale moves from here to here. So this is a oscillatory motion. So what do you understand? What is an oscillatory motion? If an object repeats its path, repeating the path after a fixed interval of time, it is said to be in a periodic motion. When an object is in circular motion, it moves along the circular path again and again. An object in oscillatory motion also repeats its motion while moving to and fro. So this oscillatory motion is called as to and fro movement. This is also to and fro movement. Both circular and oscillatory motion are periodic in nature. So let us look at the picture of a children park. So this is a picture, and then you have to classify what is the motion like. So we see there is a slide in which the girl is sliding from up to down. So we see it is a circular, it is a linear motion. Then here from the swing from here to here, again up down, so it will be a oscillatory motion. What about this? This becomes a circular motion. Similarly this becomes a oscillatory motion. What about this? These boys, they will be in a circular motion. Okay, so here you have to make the table. So these are the keywords, and there is a summary of the chapter. So International System of Units, SI units has been adopted by countries as standard unit of measurement. SI unit of length is meter and its symbol is M. Meter is 1000 meter, 1 meter is 100 centimeter, and 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. When distance is stated with respect to a fixed object or point, then that point is called as reference point. An object is said to be in motion if its position changes with respect to reference point with time. When an object moves along a straight line, its motion is called linear motion. सीधी जो चल रही है, जो ऑब्जेक्ट सीधा चल रहा है, तो उसका मोशन इज नोन एज लीनियर मोशन. If object moves in a circular path, then that motion is called a circular motion. And if the object moves to and fro about any fixed position, its motion is called oscillatory motion. So this, from here we come to the end of the chapter. We'll do the question.